What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the narrative shifts post UFC 306. Every single fighter on the card, we're going to be talking about kind of what the perceptions of them going into the card were, and then also what the perceptions are after the card, how they have changed the narrative, whether it be in a good or negative way. Obviously, most of the winners, it's going to be in a positive way. Most of the losers, it's probably going to be in a negative way. But yeah, I'll be talking about every fighter on the card. And yeah, let me know in the comments, how do you think the narrative has changed around all of these fighters from UFC 306? But let's get started with the main event. Dvalishvili has definitely changed the narrative in a positive way. I think going into this fight, a lot of people saw him as just, takedown spammer, crotch sniffer, boring ass fighter, easy to get chinned. He got caught by Moraes, got caught by Cejudo. O'Malley's going to catch him. He's going to get finished by O'Malley. I think that was the wide perception of this fight. I think a lot of people thought he was just going to get shinned. But he proved us wrong. He proved that O'Malley wasn't able to just catch him anytime he wanted on the feet. He was on the feet for quite a while in that fight. There was moments where he stood on the feet for like over a minute, and he didn't get KO'd. He only was really in trouble at the end of the fifth, and that was because of a body kick. That wasn't even like he got wobbled or anything. So Merab proved that he's not just a complete spastic on the feet that's just open to getting hit easily. He proved that he can implement his game against pretty much any style. He's implemented it now against Cejudo, Yan, Aldo, O'Malley, elite striker, elite wrestler, good Muay Thai guy with good takedown defense. Obviously, he didn't take down Aldo, and then Yan, who's just well-rounded, and he's been able to implement his style against everyone. So I think the perception is sort of changing as if, who's going to beat Merab? I think a lot of people are now seeing Umar as that guy, but if he can beat Umar, then who's going to beat him? Because I just don't see anyone who stylistically matches up well to beat Merab apart from Umar, and I still think he can beat Umar. And another narrative shift is that this dude is, not far off from being the bantamweight GOAT. I kind of think he, already is, except he just doesn't have a title offense. But for me, that's why title defenses don't matter as much, and it's the resume, because if you beat 5, elite former champions or whatever, or 4, O'Malley, Yan, Aldo, Cejudo, it doesn't matter if 3 of those aren't title. A 50-45 win over Yan is better than, half the fucking title offenses in, John Jones's resume, or half the title offenses in, a lot of people's resume, right? Anderson Silva, GSP, a 50-45 win over Peter Yan is a title defense quality kind of win. So it's not about, did it have a belt attached to it or not? It's just who you beat, how you beat them, and at what point in their career did you beat them? Because at that point, he was the only guy, and he still is really the only guy to just definitively beat Peter Yan. Because Aldo had a close fight with him, O'Malley had a close fight with him, but Merab 50-45'd him, and it was not close. So yeah, Merab's proving himself as elite. He's proving himself as close to bantamweight GOAT status as well. And also, he's not just a guy that you can just catch on the feet whenever you so choose. His striking is not terrible. It's effective with what he does. He does the herky-jerky weird shit, and it works out for him. So yeah, Merab is definitely a problem for a lot of guys to deal with. But let's talk about O'Malley. The narrative shift for Sean O'Malley. I think going into this, everyone thought, and I think people still kind of do see him, or maybe not anymore, but they saw him as just this precise sniper. He's gonna fucking catch anyone's chin. You can't stand with this dude unless you're Peter Yan, right? And even then, he gave Peter Yan some trouble. I think people viewed this guy as just you have no chance with him on the feet unless you're Peter Yan. I think that's what people saw it as, and that's proven now to be not true, because he's not been able to just catch Merab. He also didn't, the Munoz fight, he looked kind of mid, but he wasn't able to just catch Merab, right? Sure, Cheeto, anyone else is going to get KO'd by those shots, but, Cheeto's a fucking punching bag. It's if you don't rush in, and if you're not just completely open and shit, then he does, I'm not saying Aldo shit, but Aldo did just overextend on a punch. But, this guy's not just KOing, there was openings for O'Malley. There were moments where Merab could have been caught. It wasn't he was just out of range at all times. Merab's a midget. He's at, a range disadvantage against everyone. But O'Malley wasn't able to catch him. And also, O'Malley, after this fight, I think I personally see him, maybe other people don't, maybe I'm, jumping off. I was never really, on the hype train. It's not I didn't think he was good, but I'm just not an O'Malley fan. But I kind of view this guy as like he's more entertaining than Izzy. 100% he's better fighter than Izzy, like more skillful striker than Izzy in my opinion. But he's like maybe he's gonna end up in that kind of range, and like maybe we're just gonna see this guy become a fucking tepid range striker. And you know how Izzy just relied on people rushing in to fucking like give him a free KO if they would just run in like a spastic with their hands down. That might end up being what O'Malley relies on. And unless he's fighting a punching bag, like if this guy fights Sandhagen, I don't think he's just going to KO Sandhagen. I don't think he's going to just light him up on the feet. I think he's going to have a fucking tepid range striking match with him and probably win 48-47. Like this guy might go, like same with how Izzy on the rise was just KOing everyone. This might end up being O'Malley. Maybe I'm jumping the gun too soon. But that's how I view him. I view O'Malley as someone who, like, is not 100% just the most dangerous fucking striker to ever exist, and you can't stand with him. He's too quick, he's too precise, he's too powerful. He couldn't KO Merab, he couldn't even wobble Merab really at any point. And also, this guy's, like, he's reminding me a bit of Leon in that performance against Bilal, with how easily he sort of seemed broken and just shut down. And, like, as soon as Merab got the first takedown, I literally was like, yeah, that's done. He's done. Because I knew that Merab was just going to drown him after that. I was like, I don't think he's even going to get a takedown. I think O'Malley's going to just catch him. And make it too difficult. But his movement wasn't as good. He made it pretty easy for Merab to get on the inside and get to the hips. And then, yeah, he just got dominated on the ground. Like, other guys are able to get up from Merab's takedowns. O'Malley really didn't get up all that well. Like, he got dominated on the ground. Merab was able to throw ground and pound. Merab's not a guy that just unloads ground and pound, and he was thrown quite a bit against O'Malley. So yeah, O'Malley is quite easily dominated if you implement the right game plan. He's also not just this unbeatable fucking striker who can just KO anyone immediately. Like, just don't rush in against this guy. Play the range game. Stay out of his range and then make your entries good and not just rushing in with your hands down, and you won't get KO'd. So yeah, O'Malley, little bit, the striking was a bit overrated in my opinion coming into this fight. By me included, I thought he was going to win. Anyway though, let's talk about the co-main event. Valentina Shevchenko. I would say the narrative around Shevchenko has gone from like, she's kind of washed, she's probably not getting the belt back, she's 37, she's past her best, to like, yeah, she can still beat girls. Like, Grasso didn't look good at all. I'll talk about her in a second. But Shevchenko, she surpassed my expectations. Was the fight fun? No, not at all. It was very boring. But she proved she can still do it, and she's still physical, and she's still able to just impose her will. That's what half her title reign was based on, was just imposing her will, being too strong for him. And then that kind of looked a bit lost against Grasso in the first two fights. But in this third one, that was back. She took her down easily. She was too big, too strong. Held her down as well, too physical, and yeah, she gets the belt back, so good job to Shevchenko. Grasso, I think the narrative has gone from like, she's actually like an elite flyweight to like, she's kind of mid and she fluked it. Because the first fight, she was down like 2-1 or 3-1 or whatever. I think she was down 2-1 going into the fourth, and she was losing the fourth for a bit, and then Shevchenko spinning back kick, missed, got the back take. Alright, that's cool, right? Rematch. Shevchenko, in my opinion, should have won that fight. It was close. Grasso had her moments, but that was like her that was like the fucking stars aligned for Grasso, and she actually looked good in a fight, because that made people think she actually like had takedown defense. And even in that fight, she got held down quite a bit, but she was just able to have more moments on the feet. But this time she had no moments on the feet. She got taken down from the jump, and it's like, if someone pushes a heavy wrestling game plan against her, she really can't deal with it. She's not physically strong. Obviously, she's straight. I think she's a straight woman, so that's going to cause her a disadvantage. But if she wants to get the belt back, she definitely needs to swing the other way. I'm not going to tell her to do that, because I'd love to have Alexa Grasso, but, you know, for her fighting purposes, she probably wants to stop hanging out with the Diego Lopez's and start hanging out with the Ketlin Souzas, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's move on, though, to another fighter. Diego Lopes, the narrative shift has gone from this guy is kind of unproven, he's really good, he's a fan favourite, he's fun, but, you know, the Dan Ego fight wasn't great. I don't know, I think he's going to get kind of forechecked here by Ortega, or maybe he's just not quite top 2, top 3 level, he's not going to win the belt. To now, this guy is amazing and is the best thing to ever happen to the sport, and he might be a champion. I think that's the narrative around Diego Lopes. Before this, I've been high on Diego Lopes since his debut, obviously. I knew him before his debut. But like Movzar, obviously I picked Movzar. Fucking everyone picked Movzar, right? And he lost that fight. So I've picked every Diego Lopes fight correctly. But I have maintained the stance after that fight that if he fought Movzar on a full camp, he would have whooped his ass. And I think we see that now. Movzar gets beaten on the feet. Now, I know we saw Movzar look okay against Lopes in the debut, but again, debuting Lopes, short notice, this was before he actually like got good. Like, he was alright before then. I'm not saying he was bad, but he's improved so much in like a year. Like, think about it. This guy's gone from making his debut in May to getting 2 quick finishes in August and then November. Then he fights on the biggest card of the year, UFC 300, against Yusuf, wins again in like a minute and a half. Then he was going to fight Ortega, fights Ige. And then he fights Ortega in September. This is his 6th UFC fight in like a year and like 4 months or whatever. It's crazy stuff, crazy activity from Lopes. But yeah, I think people are now really starting to see this guy as a future champion, someone that could beat a Volkanovski, someone that could beat a Max Holloway, someone that could beat an Ilia Topuria. Yeah, I think that's the narrative around him. His striking was kind of seen as a bit... I think he was also seen as a bit of a one-round fighter, which is now proven to be not true, because Ortega's normally a guy that if you don't finish him in the first, which no one does, and you kind of unload and hurt him a bunch in the first and then get tired, he will make you pay for it and he will gas you out and he will finish you. He didn't do that to Lopes. He had no moments in this fight. So I think Lopes proved he's got a gas tank. He can go 3. He can still hurt you in the third, as he did to Ortega in round 3. And this guy might be the most dangerous fighter in the first, 2 minutes. This guy is the more well-rounded version of Hamzat, where he just comes on and on the feet, this guy's a bitch to deal with. And the funny thing is, this guy's a grappler primarily. We don't, apart from the submission against fucking Gavin Tucker, and then the fight with Movzar, and obviously had some moments with Ige on the ground. But apart from that, we haven't just seen this guy submit people. He's beating their ass on the feet, and he's a grappler. He's obviously very good striking, but I'm just saying, he's still got grappling in his back pocket, and he's not having to use it. He's whooped Ortega's ass on the feet. Didn't get caught in any bullshit when he went to the ground with him. So yeah, Ortega, as far as he goes, I think the narrative went from this dude only loses to champions or something, or this guy, he's the fucking eagle, he's gonna eagle max, he's gonna rebirth, to he's kind of shit and his defense is awful and he's got no power and I don't know why you would pick him in a fight, and yeah, Tracy don't want you anymore. Nah, that was tough. The fan that said that was messed up. But no, Ortega, I've never thought he was good. I never pick him in fights. I picked Volk against him, I picked Yair against him both times. I picked Lopes against him, obviously. I don't think Ortega's very good, and I think that's proven. He's not improved in any way. Nothing about this guy's game has improved. He's always the same. Shit striking, shit defense, no power, just cardio and chin, and even the cardio is not crazy. Just chin and then jiu-jitsu. And then if you don't have, the soy little weak frame of Yair to get taken down easily and get ragdolled, then you're fine, and you can just beat this guy's ass on the feet. So yeah, that's the perception around Ortega. He's not very good, in my opinion. Let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Esteban Ibovic. I think the narrative shifts around him. Look, there's not a much... The rest of the fighters on the card, there's not, major narrative shifts around them. But Ibovic, he was a big underdog. I think a lot of people kind of viewed him as just, why is this nobody on the main card? Who is this guy? To now... oh yeah, he KO'd McKinney. To now, this guy's got the potential to be a fucking fan favourite fighter in the UFC with how entertaining he is. He's going to wars, and already, the fight with Rajdabov was fun. And then, who did he fight after the Rajdabov? He beat up Camuelo Kirk, that was pretty fun. And then he took some time off, was meant to fight Brenner, that fight would have been a banger. Then he comes back, fights McKinney, absolutely fucking sleeps him with a head kick. He's already got a KO of the year contender with that head kick, and then now a fight of the year contender. In my opinion, the front runner. And yeah, also I'm just going to say Holloway Gaethje, apart from the 5th round and the spinning back kick at the end of the first, and Holloway getting dropped in it. There was individual small moments. Obviously Holloway kind of teed off on him for a bit in the 5th, but apart from one spinning back kick in the 1st, one knockdown in the 4th, and then a bit of a prolonged cool moment in the 5th before the big ending. That was 4 good moments of that fight, but they were individual little moments. This fight was fun throughout, and then the 3rd round, the entire 3rd round was just nuts. So Ibovic, he's got the potential to be a fan favorite fighter. He's definitely ranked quality in my opinion. Got a bit to tidy up on, but he's got a chin for sure. and he's got heart, and he's got grit, and he's got power, and he can just impose his will. And so yeah, it's not like a crazy narrative shift. It's not like he's proved the doubters wrong. But he came in as a big underdog and he got it done, so fair play to him. But let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Daniel Zellhuber, he was the big favourite, so I think the narrative shift around here has gone from like, oh, this guy's some amazing, precise, range striker, future fucking Mexican top 15 talent, to like, yeah, he's just a lanky fuck that pokes people in the eye, and he's got a chin for sure, but he's a bit like... Again, he's one of those range guys that if you just get inside and kind of beat him up, you can break him a little bit. He didn't break, obviously. You know, his chin held up. He was tough. I think that's a bit of a narrative shift too. I think a lot of people probably thought he didn't have the best chin because a lot of those real lanky guys at lightweight don't have a great chin. But yeah, he looked alright. He arguably could have won the fight based on the first and second, but still, yeah, I would say the narrative shift is like pump the brakes. Not every Mexican with one loss on their record is elite. Some of them are just mid. So yeah, I'd say Zellhuber's just kind of middle of the road, 20 to like 40 level ranking, unranked lightweight. Anyway, let's talk about the next fight. We got Ronaldo Rodriguez. I would say the narrative shift around him is like, originally people going into the card, why is this flyweight with one fight in the UFC, random guy on the main card? This sucks. The Sphere card's overrated. Why is this dude on the main card? To now, like, this guy's a potential, not superstar, obviously, but, like, he's a potential real fan favourite. He's bringing some entertainment to the flyweight division. There's not a lot of talkers in the flyweight division. A press conference with him and Manel Cap would go crazy. That's all I'm going to say. There would be lots of slurs going around. It would be great for the whole family. But Ronaldo Rodriguez, he gained like 200,000 followers. He's now got he's got 860,000 followers. He might have even more now. That was like yesterday that I checked. Check his Instagram. This guy's got a nuts following. Mexico loves him. If he gets a ranking and they take him to if he gets even the top 15 ranking, doesn't even need to be top 10, they will main event him or like co-main event him in a fight night in Mexico, and you will see how much these guys like him. He's a potential star in the flyweight division. He's entertaining. He might not be very good. That's still something that is definitely, I wouldn't say that's a narrative shift. I think a lot of people didn't think he was that good. But yeah, he got dropped bad by Ode Osborne and arguably lost the third. So it is what it is. Questionable performance, but in terms of the star power, that's what I think people are kind of awoken to now, that there is a reason he was on the main card, because he also did have a fun fight. But Ode Osborne, nothing really. He didn't get submitted. I guess credit to him for that, because normally he just gets subbed. But yeah, Ode Osborne's he's mid as always. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. Dumont, I would say the narrative shift is that going into the card, we thought she was hot, and going out of the card, we think she's very hot. No. Like, her fighting was good. Like, her boxing looked good. I think a lot of people kind of viewed her as just like a heavy, in the lower half, lay and pray, like, kind of grappler. Like, just uses the cheeks and uses the weight of the cake to just anchor down her opponents and not let them get up. But no, she looked good on the feet. She beat up Aldana, I would say, and she's also like potential. She's top 5 now. She's not going to win a belt, but like she could still beat a lot of people in that division. Like she could beat Pennington. I don't know. But Aldana, I'd say the narrative shift is like she used to like be considered like a really good boxer, like nasty striker Aldana, but she just got outboxed majorly. I thought the cut was from like an elbow or something. It was from a headbutt, I'm pretty sure, which is tough, so I don't blame her for that, but she still did just get beaten up before that anyway. So yeah, rough one for Aldana. Definitely didn't live up to the expectations of like, I thought if she was going to lose, it was going to be like heavy grappling and she just gets no offense off on the feet. But the whole fight was on the feet and she got beaten up pretty bad, so yeah, tough. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. Ignacio Bahamondes. I would say the narrative shift is pretty significant around him. Not like crazy significant, but he's proven that he's legit, and he's proven that, not like we had high hopes from before. I think Bahamondes has always been hyped up. He's always been a very good striker. But, we saw this guy lose to John McDessie. We saw him lose to Ludovic Klein. He's had some losses, right? So it's just difficult to know when Bahamondes is going to show up. But his last 2 fights he has. He KO'd Yargos with a head kick and he just KO'd Torres. When this guy's on, his striking is nasty. You can't fuck around with this guy on the feet. He's legit. He's top 15 caliber if he's on point. If he shows up like he did against McDessie, he fucking loses to, like, Angel Jubilee. I don't know. But, like, if this guy shows up good, and also just how good is Ludovic Klein, that's another thing I want to say. I've been high on Ludovic Klein for a while. I've mentioned him in a lot of my videos when I'm talking about, like, unranked guys that have the potential to, like, be up there. I think I said he would beat Gamrot. I did a video, what would be the unranked fighters that could beat the highest ranked fighters, and I said Ludovic Klein, who's unranked, would beat Gamrot, and people called me crazy. I'm not wrong, bro. But Bahamondes, he's really good on the feet. I think people knew that already, but I think people are starting to now see him as consistent and an actual threat to the top of the division. Torres, again, I think it was like wild man, crazy man Torres. He's going to go in there like a whirlwind and finisher to like, yeah, this dude thinks he's Dricus du Plessis at lightweight. You have to actually be technical at 155, little buddy. You can't just run in like a spastic. Like, that only works in a shit division like middleweight. But Torres, he's still fun. He's always going to be a fun fighter, but yeah, he's not some Mexican prospect that's going to be a top 15 guy, I don't think, anytime soon. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. So, Ketlin Souza, I would say the narrative shift is that she's now considered a certified lesbian with power, and she's dangerous to anyone who is not a lesbian. That's the narrative shift around Souza. She was a big underdog. People kind of was like, who's this bum going to lose to Harrogate? She's got power, and this once again proves the hypothesis that lesbian wins you fights. Eduarda Mora lost to Denise Gomez. Like, Denise Gomez beat Mora and Harrogate. Those are like two of the best prospects in women's MMA, and she just beats them. So yeah, it proves you have to be lesbian to succeed. But let's talk about Harrogate. This is the second loss. This is the second loss by finish as well. Kind of proved that she's not really a prospect anymore. She's kind of just a straight chick from Mexico who's not going to have any success. She's technical, right? But technique don't mean shit. She's got a chin issue, and she's not all that. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, Joshua Van. I wouldn't say much of a narrative shift. Narrative shift maybe is like, oh, this guy's chinny. He might go on a bit of a downfall. He's too young. He's turning around too quick. To like, yeah, this guy's still real good. His boxing's nasty. I think the chin narrative is still there. Obviously, he got dropped in this fight. He got hurt. That's going to be a worry always. But his boxing is sick, and I think in the second and third round, if he doesn't just get crazy and, like, be stupid, he can beat a lot. I still think this guy beats top 15 opponents on the feet if he doesn't just get wild. But he might be too small for flyweight, honestly, which is crazy to think because that's the smallest division. Because all these guys are just bigger than him. Shires was way bigger. Johnson was way bigger. He's always just outsized majorly in his fights, which is tough. But Van, I'm still very high on him. I still think he's got a lot of promise. Shires, not much of a narrative shift. I mean, he went from like random unranked cartel member to random unranked cartel member who had a fun fight, I guess. That's what's going for him. He's got a chin on him. Fair play. He took a lot of those shots from Van. But yeah, not much going on there. Let's talk about the next fight, though. Raul Rosas Jr., I don't know. I talked about this in my previous video. You can go check it out. I don't want to rant about Raul Rosas for 5 minutes. I guess the narrative shift is like, oh, this guy's going to finish all these unranked bums to like, he might need a lot more fucking time. Like, I think people are being like, time for a step up with Rosas. I don't think we can do that. I don't think he's like, if we need a step up from Aori Tralang to a decision, like, who are we stepping up to? This guy would lose to Davey Grant. This guy would lose to fucking Victor Henry probably. Like, we need to slow roll this guy majorly if you don't want him to take another loss before he hits the rankings. If he gets a loss in the rankings, it's not that bad. But if he gets another unranked loss, that's really going to kill some hype around him. So yeah, I think Raul Rosas, the narrative is he is kind of a little bit mid and he does need a lot more time. Ayo Tralang, no narrative shift. He's a fucking Chinese dude. He's Mongolian. Send him back to China where he came from, as Cody Durden would say. But yeah, that's the video done, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what the narrative shifts that you think are that occurred after UFC 306. Okay, I got a really good video coming soon if you guys saw it on my community page. We're doing the most likely fighters to attend the Diddy Party tier list. It's going to be elite. That'll be coming soon. No Diddy. But anyway, yeah, guys. Peace out in the next one. See ya. Drop more videos, all that. Peace out.